Get ready to rock radio. This is free rock radio. Get ready to rock.
This is radio for the internet age. Get ready to rock radio.
Well, we're saying hello again at Get Ready to Rock to the guys from FM, Jim and Steve. Hello there.
Hi, again, how you doing?
18 months on.
It is, yeah. Yes. Lots has happened, you know.
Lots of memories.
Exactly.
And we caught up with you really shortly after the release of Metropolis in 2010. That was in April.
Yeah.
There has been so much happening really in the last 18 months. So what would you say are the highlights for you over the last 18 months?
It's all been great. I mean, to be honest, we just done some dates with Journey and Foreigner in Europe, and we did Download again this year, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's just been a great year, really. We've touched on places that we apparently had success in that we didn't even know about. You know, so it's been great. We've been across Europe, and
the European tour is a mix of shows with Journey and Foreigner, festivals, and some headline stuff as well, which were all fantastic.
Yeah.
And as you said, we found some places where the band had success we didn't know about, and we even did one or two where the band maybe hadn't had success but were still good
still
fun.
Went down all right, yeah. No, it's been fantastic. Yeah. I mean, we did a couple of shows in Portugal first time around, and but having not been there for probably 20 years, we sort of went back and did a show there and played a sports hall, 2,500 people. They knew all the stuff, and the following out there was just fantastic. And you just think these people are so loyal to stay with it for that long, and having not played there, haven't done 2 shows there in the past. And the same with Spain, and so we just want to keep going back to these places now. It's exciting, you know.
So it's opened up whole new areas for you, really. Yeah?
God, yeah. It's you know, as I say, across doing Europe again was brilliant. Great experience.
Mm-hmm. So what about Download? You played twice in the last 18 months, really.
Yeah.
The first time, what are your memories of that then? Because that must have been quite interesting, getting back on a massive stage in front of a massive crowd.
That was brilliant. I mean, for me, I was saying to you before we sort of came in, it's a bit like you never lose that buzz when you walk out there and you look at how vast it is, you know, and that's why it's so great being back. It's to have the chance to do it all again. It's just fantastic for me. I mean, obviously, Jim's done big festivals anyway before he joined FM, but to do it, it's just a great feeling, isn't it, when
Absolutely.
You walk out there, you know.
I think for the first time as well, we stood in for Rat, who'd pulled out. So we did the festival on the Sunday, and we only got the call on the Wednesday before. So just to get it such short notice, not being prepared really.
Yeah.
And it kind of sounds unbelievable, but for somebody to call and say, can you come and do Download in 3 days' time or whatever, it appears to be a no-brainer. Of course you'd do it, but actually to get the wheels in motion for this band, or for any band, is a serious thing. And actually we weren't the first band they'd asked. They couldn't get anybody to do it, because obviously if you're an American band, you can't get your crew and everybody together to fly to the UK in such a short space of time. But even for us, we had very little preparation. Everything just stopped down to London rehearsals.
Yeah. Trying to get a road crew together.
Yeah. Such short notice, and then off to the gig, and you got half an hour to prove yourself in front of an audience that probably largely doesn't know you, really.
Yeah.
But it was
great. I mean,
probably one of the most memorable things I've ever done, really.
Yeah. So. Especially because Rat, we're not very similar to Rat. So obviously there were a few Rat fans there that had still got to get you know. But we went down great. And I mean, it was like, it's funny because I say this a lot in interviews, but it's still a surprise to come back and do it and get the responses that we're getting. Because we did have a long break, you know, and you forget how loyal people that are into your music actually are, you know, and they're just waiting for the next thing all the time, and you know, it's another lease of life for them, sort of second time around. So it's brilliant, and I still recognise people from first time around. It's amazing, even though they've gotten older. Obviously I haven't, You know,
Yeah.
you know, but if you know what I mean, it's brilliant to see people coming back round second time around, and they've now got kids, and they were kids when they came to see us first time around. It's brilliant, you know. It's just a great buzz.
That's an interesting point, actually. Have you noticed in the audience? You mentioned obviously you recognise people, which is fantastic, really. Not least for them, I suppose. It's,
Yeah, no, well,
do you let on that you've recognised?
Oh yeah, we do. We do an awful lot of these meet and greet things up to gigs where you meet the fans, and because it's good fun, you know, and they come up and they sort of tell you how you've changed. It's a real touching thing when somebody comes up and said we played Closer to Heaven as we walked down the aisle, or you touched our lives, and this is my 9-year-old son, and he's an FM fan, and it's great because it's the next generation of people that are coming to see you. If we can keep it going, you know, it's fantastic to have sort of new fans, you know, and we get families. It's a family orientated band.
That's interesting. So would you say then that there's the generational thing, but there's also, what about the proportion of genuinely new fans? Can you put a sort of a finger on that at all? Because you must be aware that there is more interest now.
Well, rock music's got a new lease of life. People are realising that it's an exciting genre of music to go and see live. If anything, it's the genre of music to go and see live. It's exciting, it's got energy. And I think, especially at some of the dates you do in Europe, there's quite a few kind of teen, maybe
Absolutely.
early 20s, mid-20s people, you know.
There is at all of the gigs, but Europe.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Spain and Portugal.
Yeah.
A huge percentage of sort of, under 30s, really.
And I mean, you get people like, I remember when we did the Firefest, and the classic thing was I was standing with Danny Vaughan, and this beautiful girl walked up to me, and she came up, and Danny's got his, I'm standing there, and this was the first gig we did on the comeback thing, when we did the headline the Firefest, and he'd been on with Ty Keto before us, and standing there chatting to Danny. This girl comes up, this lovely girl, and she came and said, "Can I have my photograph taken with you?" So me being me, I thought she meant Danny, the young. I walked to one side, and she said, No, you, Steve." She said, "I grew up with you." She's about 21 or 2. She said, "My dad played your music to me as I grew up. I grew up with that girl, Frozen Heart," and it's brilliant when you hear that, So there is somebody's daughter that basically when she was a kid, she just had this music rammed down her throat. And I think the music that you grow up with as a child stays with you largely.
Get ready to rock.
Now, what about over the last 18 months then? It's been gradually building success from, everything that you've told me and everything I've gathered myself. Has there anything that you would have done differently in the last 18 months? Perhaps something that didn't work quite so well for the band?
To be honest, I think we're constantly shocked at how well things are working at the moment.
Yeah, it's a difficult question.
It's a difficult question. Yeah, it is.
Because it has done so much more than we ever anticipated. I think
when we got back together, it was really going to be, David, we're going to go out and do just the gigs we want to do. We thought we'd maybe go out, and when people asked us to play a show, we'd go and do that show. Now we have major management, major agencies, everything's gone back, if not beyond the level that we were first time round. So everything has now got a total new lease of life. We're just doing a new publishing deal. It's just fantastic, isn't it? It's just, so I can't think of anything, which is credit to the management as well as the band, that we probably would have done differently. I think I can't fault anything that anybody said, "Will you come and do this?" and we've gone and done it. I can't think that was a waste of time.
We haven't made any money.
No, that was one thing we've done wrong. We're still not rich.
We could do with a couple more zeros on everything, but apart from that, we're pretty happy. No, seriously.
If anything, this is going to build up further now from what you're telling me in the next 12 months. So hopefully 18 months on, we'll be sitting together. And
I hope so.
Well, we'd like to think there's a few more years in it, and it'll build over the next couple of years.
Yeah,
really.
without a doubt. Yes. Without a doubt.
Now this year marks the coming year anyway, marks the 25th anniversary year of the debut album release, Indiscreet. It actually came out in September 1986. With hindsight now, how do you see that album sitting in your back catalogue?
Well, it's a funny thing really, that, because I've got mixed feelings on that album. Although I think it's an album full of great songs, I never liked the sound of the record. I mean, that's a personal thing from my point of view, but you can't dispute the fact that to our FM fans, it is the iconic album. It started everything, and the one thing that shocked me when we got back together and we did the first show, it was going to be one show, and we played Face to Face, That Girl, and I thought to myself, will these songs sound dated when we get back together? Will they be of their time? And they didn't. And they sounded, when we played them as a band, it was great and they were fresh, and I didn't think they just have their place, if you know what I mean. So it's a great album. It was an album, I think, without a weak song, which I think is unusual. That was obviously just a personal point of view, but we made that the way the album was put together. We had a lot more songs, but we picked what we thought every song on that album could be potentially a single. That's how we thought of it, you know. And I think it's still a great record. And to be, as I say, you know, there are other FM records I prefer personally, but to fans, it's the album. It's the one they all say is their favourite record, I guess. You know,
I think personally, when you revisit that album, I mean, you're dead right. It's an album of. There are some standouts, but it's consistently good.
No, that's the thing,
And I take your point about the production. But debut albums, generally, they can use up some of your best material. Were you conscious of that at the time, that you had a load of songs? You mentioned that you had some more that you could have used.
Yeah.
But was there a feeling that perhaps you were using, you know, giving it your best shot, really, at the time?
Well, I think every album you make, I mean, the great thing is, me and my brother we wrote a lot of songs, which is why you've got your Dangerouses and your Say It Like It Is. None of those made the record, yet we played them live and fans said these are fantastic, but to us they weren't strong enough to fit in the running order of that record, or they didn't sit right on that record. So I mean, I know it sounds conceited to a point, but we didn't think we'd done our best stuff, no, because we were a new band. And we, like with Metropolis, we knew we hadn't done the best stuff. We knew there was a lot better to come, and there will be in the future, and that's how we've always looked at things. Because we're not a band that sit there and get in a room and say, right, what songs you got for the new album then? And we all sit there and look at each other. There's always like, can you come round, Steve? I've got 4 new ideas. Can you come round? Can we do this? Our main problem is fitting the time with each other to finish the songs with all the other stuff we do. And it really is. This album will have 25 songs written for it.
Yeah, it will,
and we'll pick 12. And that's how we've always been. So it's weird, but we sort of knew what we wanted to do. We did Indiscreet, and this is why the story we were talking about with the false start on the second album, Tough It Out, we had an idea on how we wanted the album to go. It had to be tougher, which is why it was called Tough It Out. It had to be more bluesy, and because we didn't capture that straight away, we've always been fairly fixed on what we want to do, you know. And
so the songs you didn't use on Indiscreet,
none of them went on Tough It Out. Not one of them.
Have they been used subsequently?
Yeah, some of them were used on the Ladder album that we talked about, which was kind of like a
others were
outtakes.
B-sides,
Others were B-sides, and lots of leftover songs. So we'd do like picture discs, and you'd have 3 B-sides.
But I don't think, from what you told me, I don't think there's anything left over that hasn't come out in some form. I think it's all out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get ready to rock radio. Music you want to hear.
So what do you think about this trend then of bands revisiting their older albums? I mean, we can give specific examples of Girls' School. They've revisited the early 80s album Hit and Run, re-recorded it, maybe with a couple of guest vocalists, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Foreigner have done the same with their latest package, Acoustic. They've revisited their classic set list, really.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? Could you see FM ever doing it with Indiscreet?
Well, I mean, we're going to go out next year and do a tour which is called the 25 Live 25th Anniversary. So that was really through people asking us to do it and saying, look, the problem we have with Indiscreet is if we try and drop a song from the album out of the set, it's like, why are you not playing Other Side of Midnight? I want to do this. Yeah. So because it's the 25th anniversary and it was the iconic album, and it's been from Spain, from Portugal, from everywhere. And because it's kind of been a trend, I mean, our management said, why don't you go and play the whole album, start to finish, and then maybe do the best of the rest of your album. So it's a bit like, it's not going to be a long thing, it's just because it's been asked for, And it will be great to mark because that album launched everything for us, and those songs are still key songs in what we do, you know. So it will just be kind of a tribute to that record and that era of the band. And because we've come back after such a long break, we owe a lot to that album. Really, it started everything for us, you know. So we're going to go out and do a few shows, and we will play that, and also other songs from that era that people keep asking for. Things like Let Love Be the Leader, which we only ever played live once, that was a single, Dangerous, and all the songs that maybe we get asked for a song called Say It Like It Is a lot, which was a B-side, one of the first B-sides. We may even do that. We may go back and just pick out all these tunes that down the years have kind of various people have written into the website or whatever and asked, will we ever play, you know. And the songs we play off of the other albums maybe won't be the songs we normally play. There'll be songs that they've never heard us play live. And
does it feel like Love would be a great one to do?
You know, and just make it a different FM package just for that little short thing, because we are doing a new album. This is not what we're doing next year. There'll be a new album as well, but everybody said you need to celebrate Indiscreet, and so we
because when the new album comes out, we'll do the typical kind of new album tour, four new songs from the new album and your greatest hits, and
you know,
so it's an opportunity to get away from it. And
but I do think, I mean, with this thing like the Foreigner thing, I mean, having done the tour with them, their whole set is like a greatest hits set anyway. So it's, to me, I think that I standing there and watching a whole festival going mad over Cold as Ice, that means that there's a whole new audience hearing Cold as Ice for the first time that will then go back and look for what album that was on the Foreigner and maybe buy all their records, because those songs are still like a Beatles song. They are fantastic songs in their genre, and I think there's still a lot of people that are yet to discover how great the songs were that those bands wrote. I mean, look at Don't Stop Believing. I mean, this Journey had sold, I mean, John Barrett told me when we were on tour with them, I forget what he said, the greatest hits album.
Was it 13 million copies or something stupid like that? Was it 13 million?
Yeah, some ridiculous figure. Just because Don't Stop Believing was in Glee and on X Factor, and the fact that people then rediscovered that Journey were the band that did it and liked the Journey version the best.
And was it Family Guy or something like that?
Yeah, it's been on loads of stuff, hasn't it? You know, was it Sopranos?
Sopranos,
that was it. And so it's been on TV, and you know, it's fantastic. It relaunched Journey are now an arena band again, all over Europe, everywhere, which is great. You know.
So you don't, you can't see yourself actually going into a studio and re-recording Indiscreet?
No. Never happened. I mean, the only way I would do that is if the Foreigner album, I haven't heard it. Is it a live record or is it?
No.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the interview. The Foreigner is basically just a complete re-recording of some of the
on acoustic instruments.
No, there's a bonus disc available which is electric, so it's the full band.
Right.
And I think the feeling there is that basically the fans want to hear. They want to have if you like, a CD of the current version of the band.
Yeah, fair enough.
Greatest hits,
yeah.
But I think one of the tricks I've noticed with bands like yourselves who've come back into focus really, in the last couple of years or so, they sort of, if you like, they toughen up the old repertoire. Have you been conscious of that, where you've brought something a little bit different? To the mix, if you like, maybe a tougher drum or bass or whatever.
Yeah, I think the songs have got a lot more edge to them, don't you? The older songs,
edge is a good word.
We play them slightly differently, as well. You know,
I think as you said it before as well, Indiscreet had quite a strange sound to the record, quite a hollow kind of production sound really, and we probably do play them a little bit tougher.
Yeah,
whilst kind of sticking to the arrangements, but.
We have to really, because the new stuff like Wild Side is so much heavier than that material, so you've got to make it all tie in. So we kind of play those songs probably with a bit more vigour and energy. And
we don't have really any interest in revisiting
not really
old stuff. We did an acoustic version of That Girl on the City Limits EP, which was
totally different version though.
I think if you did anything, we'd probably want to revisit them in that way, as how you change. I mean, that's what Foreigner have done with the acoustic thing. I haven't heard that yet, but I assume maybe some of the arrangements are a bit different or whatever.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And I can maybe see that being a valid thing to do, but I think for us re-recording the album again doesn't really hold any appeal because we barely get the time to record the new one.
Ones. Yeah, so
I was thinking that actually, life goes on.
It's got to go forward, you know. I mean, although these songs have their place, it's as you know, it is to us. This is FM's second album.
We don't want to be a revival act, really. We still want to be considered to be a living, breathing entity.
If you can't do anything fresh, then it's time to... We stopped because we thought it was the time to stop. Now we've come back, we just want to keep moving forward, keep new material coming out, and keep it fresh, really.
Yes,
Give the fans new things to listen to, although they want live stuff. We've got some stuff that comes out occasionally, live stuff, and it's always good because that's different. But as far as recorded studio material, I think you want to keep it fresh and new, really.
That's a fair comment. But going back to what Jim did mention is actually the hollow sounding nature of the record. This is Indiscreet, of course. I presume that's one of your biggest misgivings about the album, the actual production quality, or the production values, let's say.
Yeah, I think what it was, David, at that time, there were a lot of bands around, kind of like... Everything was kind of feel-like bass, which is what a computer... Everybody used that at the time. It was all Go West, Go West the band, all those keyboard sounds, all that kind of DX7 Yamaha sounds, all those keyboard... And we wanted to try and incorporate those sounds into a rock band. Now, to do that on your own, we probably wanted to keep the live sound of the band, but we went a little bit too keyboardy. But for me, some people love the sound of the album. They do, but it's just a personal thing. We had a lot of producers that I would have liked to have worked with, that we could have worked with on the album, that we didn't. But at the end of the day, you've got to look at what the album's popularity was, and it's... The fans loved the record. Whether that's the songs or whatever it is that pulled it through, I don't know, but it's got to be the quality of the songs. So that never goes away, you know. So the production is like a vocal performance or anything else. It's a personal preference, isn't it? You know, like I'll love the sound of certain records that other people say, well, the snare drum was deafening on that. I hate that. You know, and it's just a personal preference, you know.
I think, in honesty, it was produced as I think you've sort of hinted at, like many sort of late 80s albums, wasn't it?
Exactly,
that was the sound. I mean, especially melodic AOR records at that time.
And all the guitar sounds were quite thin, and it wasn't that great big, that rock sound then. It was quite electro sounding in a way, lots of keyboards and things like that. And we captured it to a degree, but, you know, we listened to a lot of different music at that time, and I just think we probably could have done with someone else there just to point us more back into the direction of what the band sounded like in a rehearsal studio live, which was like a rock band, really, you know. But we wanted that sound and that sound up on that album, so we tried to incorporate all that into the sound of the record, and maybe went a bit too much the other way, you know, and lost the edge of the band a little, for my tastes. As I say, other people love it, so it's a personal preference. The songs pulled it through, I think.
Yes,
you know.
Get ready to rock radio.
Now, promotion-wise for the album, back in late 1986, 1987, what sort of things did you do?
Well, we did club tours. We went around the UK doing club tours. I mean, we were very fortunate to, before we'd even signed a record deal, how this came about. It was through an agency and seeing the band, I think, and wanting the band on the agency. We got a tour with Meatloaf in Germany on the Bad Attitude tour. We hadn't even signed a deal. We went out and did these huge arenas with Meatloaf. We toured with Tina Turner. We toured with took over from Bryan Adams on that in Europe. We did some massive tours. We were very fortunate to do a lot of big support tours, which launched the band, really. And then obviously the biggest one being touring with Bon Jovi, the Slippery When Wet tour in the UK, which was just probably one of the memories of my career, really. That was just because we were with them when they hit it. They were just a band that had been touring around. They'd done all the supports. They were really kind of feeling their way. They were on the road constantly, and all of a sudden they were the biggest band in the world, and we were on tour with them when the album went to number one all over the world, and they were as shocked as everybody else. They were like a band that had been touring for a long time, and all of a sudden, overnight, in a way, there wasn't, but that it seemed like it to most people, they became the biggest band in the world at that time, you know.
What year would that have been then that you toured with?
Crocky, you probably know this better than me, Jim. What was it?
Bon Jovi?
Yeah, was it 87?
87?
Yeah,
87.
87.
Oh, 87,
Yeah,
right,
yeah. And then, but, you know, we have a lot to thank them for, because every night we do the gigs, people queuing down the street. It was like you'd walk on and they're screaming, and it was just manic. And so that launched us to a completely new level when we came out after that with Tough It Out and did tours on our own, you know, and it just, that one tour had put us well up the ladder to another level, you know. So I guess as far as promotion went, it was pretty good. You know, yeah.
Memorable.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, we should tell listeners that one of the intriguing things about FM, really, because you came through that sort of late 80s period, and a damn good period in record music.
Yeah, it was great.
You know, for record labels particularly. And of course you had quite a few different editions and shaped picture discs and, you know, various 12-inch singles and this sort of thing. I mean, from a personal point of view, do you still have all that stuff? I mean, is that something that you quite enjoy looking back on? And
I love it. I mean, I don't have it anymore, because over the years you do, don't you? I mean, I don't think even
I bought you the Wildlife album on vinyl, didn't I?
He buys me them, yeah. You know, but I had them all, and it's fantastic. I miss vinyl like you can't believe, because I think it's a possession, and I think, you know, the picture discs. I remember the American Girls one, the Statue of Liberty. The shape of the Statue of Liberty. So they're real collectors' things, and you don't get that anymore. A lot of that charm and that possession thing has gone. You know, I realise things have to change, but it is that thing with, you know, you do lose that thing of having the sleeve and all the notes and all the inner sleeves. That, you know, you get them with CDs, but albums were a possession, weren't they? So all that stuff like box sets and albums in tins and things like that and stuff, it was great, you know.
I sense Jim's something of a collector, really, having spoken with him.
He's got a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, are you a collector as well, really?
I was,
like
but
music,
all of my collection got left in my first house with my first wife. Yeah.
Did you leave any guitars?
No, I'm not that daft. Yeah.
Well, talking of limited editions, I was quite intrigued actually. We have.
Now that's a hairstyle, you see.
Yes. Now I'm showing Steve the box set for Let Love Be the Leader. You've mentioned this. It was a single. It wasn't on an album.
No.
And it came out around about 1987, I think it was.
That's right. Yeah.
But I have to ask you here actually, because this is a numbered. Have you seen this?
I've got it. Yeah. They did sign all of them. Yeah, that's
the
what
question.
I knew you were going to ask that. Yeah. How many did you sign? About 3,000.
I think this box actually, it's number 8,000 something.
Yeah.
So, assuming it might have been 10,000.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Did you actually sit and sign?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's our signatures. I can vouch for that. I can write that for you now if you like. So you can see.
Yeah, I could tell it wasn't obviously machine. They're probably the machines
they were.
in those days, you know.
The reason for this, to be honest, I mean, we didn't do this on every single, but it was like. This was kind of, we had a false start on top of that, as we spoke about earlier, and we just thought it's been a long time without any product, the record company were talking to us, so we decided to put a single out and make it something special, because it had been a while between the records, and you know, the fans are patient, they were great, you know, and it was this was the track, so they said we've got to do something special with this. So they said, how would you feel about signing sort of all the
10,000?
They didn't say 10,000. You know, they just said all the copies, and we were like thinking, will it be a limited run and all that? And it took days. It was like you'd have to do it and have a rest because your arm would be dropping off, you know. But it worked. I mean, it did well. It got quite a lot of radio play this record, and in Portugal, it's a cult song, isn't it?
It's a hit.
So we found out this year. We didn't think it was that great at the time when we were sitting there on 8,900, and you know. That's probably what the coffee is on yours. That was when we were at 2 in the morning like this. You've got the original coffee stain on yours as well, yeah.
Get ready to rock.
So Jim, tell me, you've let the cat out now, haven't you, about collecting stuff? So I think I asked you last time that you first got into FM as a mere stripling. And, one of the first records perhaps you bought, really. Yeah, Indiscreet.
Yeah, it was
back in '86.
Yeah, I didn't actually get it in '86. It was a bit later than that. There was there used to be a record shop like a collector's record shop, really, in the town here, and one of the guys who worked there had worked for FM as part of the crew, Andy Paul, and he just used to bang on about the band all the time. I hadn't heard of the band, and sort of advised me to buy this particular record, and didn't let me leave the shop without taking it with me.
Interested in this AOR stuff.
And I used to spend most of the time laughing at the hairstyles on the back of it.
Yeah, most people did.
But no. But no, I did play it, and I did know the record, a long time ago, and I knew the band.
So since then, have you built up a collection of your own of FM stuff?
Yeah.
He's got more than me.
Yeah, I have got more than you, actually, yeah.
Only to learn the material.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, I've got that. In fact, I downloaded it off iTunes the other day, because I thought if we've got to learn it for the gigs,
I better pop round then.
They only did. It was on a Love Songs compilation or something, and that's the only digital copy available, which you can get on iTunes. So I think I did send it to you.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah.
But I have actually. I got the tin there every. What's that
every
song
time
called?
I think
That's
of
the
you.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got
every breath you take.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. You perhaps underrate that, but to hear the current guitar player one of the current guitar players with FM, you've been enthusiastic about the music in the past, and there's still that ripple of enthusiasm about what they've done, really. And I think.
But the crazy thing as well is, and maybe you don't understand this, I think, mate, if you don't play in a band or whatever, is that sometimes people will come up to me and say, I saw you at such and such a gig, and you did this and you did that, and I think, did I? Whereas I probably know more about Jimi Hendrix's career than I do my own, and therefore I probably know more about Steve's career than he does.
More than I do.
You know what I mean? Because because what you do yourself is part of your everyday life. And I'll buy all this stuff, and I'll remind the guys of stuff they've done or songs, and they don't remember. I said to you, when the current FM website was up and running, I said, have they got all the videos on here? And he said, oh, are they? I said, a video to All or Nothing. I've not seen that one yet. He said, well, yeah, because we didn't do a video to it. I said, well, it's on here. And he said, I'll tell you now, we did not do a video to All or Nothing. And I said, well, there's one here. He said, well, put it on then. And it came on, and he's singing it. He said, that can't be me.
That's not me. Yeah.
And he got no recollection of doing it. So
it's weird. It is weird. You do so many things. When you get to a point where it's just constant work, when you get to a certain level, you forget what you've done. You do a lot of the stuff you do. You remember the things like going on tour with Bon Jovi, but if you were doing, we've done a lot of videos, so you do forget. It's a bit like I remember somebody saying to me, that video, if I heard it through the grapevine. We did 2.
Yeah.
And they were on about a different one to me, and they were explaining it to me, and I only remembered the second one, and I'm like, I wasn't in that. I've never made a video like that, but I had. And and it's like, you just do so much stuff, when you get to a certain level, and you forget certain things you've done.
So Jim's been good, really, hasn't he? Because he's reminded you of a lot of
he reminds me of
stuff.
what I've done, and where I've been,
Now, just going back to you, Jim. When we spoke 18 months ago, it was really early days as far as the current formation of the band. Although you played Firefest about 6 months previously. For you personally, how has the last 12 months or so gone? What have been the highlights, the personal highlights for you? Because it's quite an undertaking. I would have thought that quite awesome, really, especially the likes of Download. It's quite, even for a seasoned musician who's perhaps even played Download before. What was going through your head, and
it's very strange, I suppose, walking into an established lineup and where your audience has known the band for such a long time, because as we've sort of said a couple of times to you tonight, to us it's almost as though Metropolis was the first album and this is a new band, really, but it obviously has this moniker of FM tagged to it, which has such a big history. So I'm very aware that in other people's eyes I'm the new boy and the new kid on the block, and maybe to a lot of people it's not what the band was 20 years ago or whatever. So I think I may have said this to you before. I think for me, when we're doing the new songs and we're making new records, I want to put my own stamp on things, but I'm very aware that it still has to fit into a particular mould. Of which certainly I think with the earlier stuff that Chris Overland played on, it probably suits my playing more so than Andy's did for that earlier stuff. Not to knock Andy's playing or anything. So it's a strange thing really, and to us we're all very, very equal within the band. I don't know whether it's perceived like that.
New boy stuff really.
It maybe isn't perceived like that to the outside. I don't know really. I am very aware of it, and probably for quite a long time was very nervous about it. I don't feel nervous now about it or anything, and I feel very comfortable. But it is quite an undertaking to do that and go on it, because you know you've got to prove yourself. Because if you don't fit into the slot, then you're going to get a lot of shit off people. Well, really,
that's one of the great things that we've actually experienced over the last 18 months. Really, is Jim's right. It's a tough thing to do. We had 2 guitar players that were with the band for a long time. To come in and being a lead guitar player is you're a focal point.
You're after
there
the singer. That's where you are, aren't you?
You know, and it's like the great thing is that everybody says it's the best the band's been since the early days, which is a great compliment. Because this, when you're 20, you leap around like an idiot on stage. You got loads of energy. To come back and be told that now that the band's better than it was when it first formed is fantastic. And the way the fans have taken it, Jim, has just been brilliant. And I think the high points are the same for all of us. It's just the fact that we keep getting offered this fantastic stuff that we never expected, because it was just going to be, let's just do a few things and do what we want, make an album when we feel like it. But now that's all gone completely to another level, which we never expected. We never,
as we keep saying, we never ever thought we'd do download once, let alone twice.
No, and to keep getting this stuff, like come to the States. We look, hopefully we're going to go to the States next year. Gig offers from around the world that we never really thought about, and headline shows in countries we never thought we could headline in, because we didn't think there'd be an audience there, and we turn up and it's like, where did these people come from? It's still surprising to us. We're still finding things out about our band that we never knew had happened. You turn up in a country that we went to twice and thought, well, we did all right there, but you can't really remember because you did a lot of shows, and you'll turn up and it's just amazing. You've got the same kind of fanaticism in the fans in Spain that you have when you play the UK. Yet we never really touched on it. Yet we toured the UK many times, and so we're still finding things out about ourselves, which makes it exciting.
Exactly.
It's great.
Playlisted by mad professors, not monkeys. This is Get Ready to Rock Radio.
Just looking ahead now to the next 12 months, you've already mentioned some of those things, like the tour, celebrating Indiscreet. Tell us a bit more about the new album. What stage are you at with that?
We've done 13 tracks. We're now on the latter stages of mixing the last batch of songs. We already know that we've got 2 or 3 more sessions in the studio yet, because there are at least another 8 tracks maybe to be recorded. We always do this though, because we'll like we did it with Metropolis even, we like to have that choice, because it's not just that's 13 good songs, because there might be 5 more that you haven't demoed that might blow those away. So every album has to be your best album, and if you've got the songs, you never know that until you've recorded them all, and you never know what the best 12 that fit together to make the best album are unless you record them all. So we'll record another probably 8 tunes, and then we'll know where we're at. So the new album's well on its way. We're really, really excited about it. We think it's great. So
is it a step forward from Metropolis then? Do you think?
We all think so. And the people that worked on Metropolis with us are working with us on this. And believe you me, they're not crawlers. They don't go, oh, you're great. If they think we're crap, they tell us, don't they? Sorry about that. But no, it's like if they think something's not right, Chris is like one of the team who say, no, that's not, it's not, but the whole thing is, the people that have worked with us, I mean, numerous times have said, this just blows the last record out of the water. So we hope that the fans and the people, when it actually does come out, we hope they agree, because they're the important ones. So what we think is irrelevant, really.
Is there going to be a curveball on this album? Because I think Wildside was the curveball, wasn't it, on Metropolis, and it really went down. It's brilliant live.
Yeah. I would say there will be. I mean, I would say there's a
couple of tracks that
are very, very much in that vein. It's a slightly harder album. Definitely, there's much more of a thread through this album. Wouldn't you say, Jim?
Yeah. There's a couple of tracks that are maybe very different to anything that's been done by the band before, I think.
So, which is the great thing. I mean, we talked about this earlier again, and it's kind of like now we can say, let's just try doing a song like that without having to worry about a major label saying to us, oh, no, you can't do that. Because we can do what we want. If we think it's not right when we've done it, then it won't make the record. But the great thing is we try everything. We just try things, and certain tracks that you don't think. I mean, Merv had a certain song. I went round there and said, no, he got this idea on how it should go. I said, I got this vision on this song, and I think it should. Remember the song in question? I said it should be like this, and Merv's like, you need help, Steve, don't you? You've lost your mind, haven't you? And we did it, and we saw the song through, and it's slightly different from what we've done, but it's come out great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's so that's the thing. We can try anything we want to try. There's nobody saying you can't do that and you can't do this. It's great to have that control.
And what happens to the half dozen or so tracks that you don't use?
Well,
they'll all get used.
They'll get used somewhere because we'll do EPs. And we don't. If we do EPs,
downloads and stuff like that.
It won't be because they're not good enough songs to make the record. It will be because they don't fit together right with the other tunes or whatever, or they haven't. They may have their place on another record. We don't know.
If they're not good enough, they just won't get recorded, will they?
No, we don't get to the stage where we write a whole song and go, no, it's a useless song. It doesn't get past the second bridge or chorus. It's like, if a song's rubbish, it's like, it's not very good, is it? So it's in the bin and it's gone. And we can say that to each other. An idea is not right. People are not that precious in FM. We have a good time doing what we do, and we've known each other a long time. Me and Jim have known each other for a long time before he joined FM. So it's not like he's a newcomer to me. He was a mate of mine before he joined the band. So, we can say what we like to each other. So we get the best results because of that. It's bands that are insular and can't speak to each other, that basically one guy says, I think it should be like this, and that's where you get your problems. I mean, FM didn't split up the first time around because we didn't like each other. It's purely we'd run the course. We'd been together a long time and it was time to stop, and we stayed friends, and we've always been friends. And that's probably why we can come back and do this again, really.
So what about the timescale now for the album? You mentioned, I think, that the tour next year will be around March
time. That's the 25 live. That's the Indiscreet one.
Yeah.
The album hopefully by then will be finished, because we have to stop at some point. We can't go on recording songs forever. So the new album will be in the bag then, hopefully mixed. So it will just be the scheduling of the record, and when we think the right time to get the tour to support that is together. As I say, the Indiscreet thing is just something to celebrate the album that launched the whole thing for us. It's the 25th anniversary. People have asked us to do it, and it'll be quite nice to go back and play. I mean, there are 2 songs on the album we never played live. Let Love Be the Lead. Love Lies Dying being one of them, and so it'd be great to go back and do songs that we never played live. So that'll be great. We can give them a new sort of slant to the tunes that were never played live at all. So it will be something different, and it'll be exciting for us as well. So... Well,
best of luck with that, Steve, and to you, Jim. It's been great, really great catching up with you again.
It's
been a long time, but actually that, it's the cliche, isn't it? The time goes quickly. You've done an awful lot in that time, and I'm sure if and when we meet up in the future again, maybe after 12 months or so,
that'd be great,
a hell of a lot is going to happen to FM. So best of luck with that. And
Thank you very much.
We look forward to the next album as well.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
And our thanks to Jim Kirkpatrick and Steve Overland from FM. They were talking in October 2011. And just to mention, the band are celebrating that 25th anniversary of the album Indiscreet, with UK dates Thursday the 8th of March in Glasgow at the Cat House. On Friday the 9th, they're in Manchester at the Academy. and in London on Saturday the 10th of March at Shepherd's Bush Empire. They also play the Great British Rock and Blues Festival, Skegness, Lincolnshire, at the end of January 2012. This has been David Randall for Get Ready to Rock Radio. Thank you for listening.
Get ready to rock radio.